Well, I've always wondered how did they figure out to start glazing, and what compound did they use to glaze pots? I can
Well,
understand clay
mhm,
you'd probably find in streams and stuff, and you heat it and it gets harder.
right. Well, originally, it all started with primitive man um, finding a piece of clay, and he would like lay wet straw in it and then put it in the fire to cook their food. And then one day they made the connection that instead of going down to the creek every day and getting a fresh piece of clay, that piece kind of got hard in the fire, so maybe we'll just use it again. And then they started fashioning it into things they could actually use. And then to give it color, often they would begin to paint different other colored clays on them. Now some clays actually melt at a lower temperature than the clay you're putting it on, so they made that connection. And then they found out when you put wood ash into the clay and paint it on there, it actually melts. Ash is a flux. So those were the very beginnings of glazes. And then a lot of like the early Chinese glazes and stuff, through experimentation, they found that certain materials like feldspars and iron, which is just rust, iron oxide, would melt and also form a glaze and change colors. And they started they learned that different metals would produce different colors. But like the American Indians and stuff, they don't make pots like I do. But they would take one clay, make their pot, and then take a darker clay, paint it on, and then rub it with a very smooth stone and kind of burnish the surface, and that would almost look like it would form a glaze. But this clay is called stoneware. It's mined out near Pittsburgh. And if I took clay from southeastern Pennsylvania, which is mostly red clay, and mixed it up in like a slurry and then painted on my pot, it would actually become a glaze. At the temperature I fire my pots to, like a terracotta flower pot, would just melt at the temperature I fire my pots to.
Hmm.
So it depends on the clays. So they learned through trial and error, by putting different clays in the campfire, which is very basic, before they actually begin to make a kiln to fire them. That certain clays would melt or get very shiny, and those they would use as a glaze.